Alright, I don't know if you recognize what this is, but it's the makings of a dizzy bowl. There's 21 separate boards here of different thicknesses, different types of wood. What I have to do now is glue these together. So let me get this glued up and we'll be back and do the rest of the steps. So I used a variety of wood for the strips, and I may not pronounce them all correctly, but you should get the idea. I used a narrow strip of Wenge, just one strip there. I used maple, yellow heart, jarran, and that's another one I'm not sure on, but I picked up some wood at an estate sale one time and that's what was written on it. Padauk, Peruvian walnut, mahogany, and then a beautiful piece of walnut, and I'm not sure exactly what walnut it is. I've had it laying around for a long time. Okay, here's one of the boards. It's going to be the dizzy bowl. I've already cut this one into strips. So I got 5 strips out of it. They're 3/16 inch thick. I've got the other one set up in the bandsaw right now, and I'll show you how I cut those. So I'll meet you over at the bandsaw. Alright, so I have a stop set up here, and I have a ball bearing on it to guide it. If I just come back here and just bump against it, that will set my thicknesses up every time. So I'll go ahead and cut one of these. I now have all 5 of these boards planed up to 180 thousandths. Got a piece of tape on each end. I've taken my dividers and I've drawn a circle, 3 circles on each one. So I have 15 different diameters to cut. This is a little drawing I made to keep track of what the diameters would be, and where all 3 of these go in the glue up. They don't go directly underneath each other. Let me get these cut and I'll start gluing them together. This is half of the bowl with all 15 pieces stacked. You can see the stagger that is created from how I cut it. It's going to be real low and pretty wide. That's what I was looking for. Gluing the halves together right now, and I use a spring clamp on the ends and it holds it quite well. When I get to the larger rings, I will use a bar clamp across them to keep the joints tight. Well, here's all 15 pieces that we made discs and rings out of. They're all glued together. I haven't decided on the rotation yet. I have an idea, but I'm going to stack all these up and look at it. Meanwhile, I can glue this one on to the base. So let's go over to the lathe and I'll show you what I have there. Well, this is going to be the base. It's got 2 discs and there's 18 segments on each one. I'll glue this first one on, get it located, and when the glue dries we'll move on to the next one. So actually this one I was able to get the spring clamps on it, so I went ahead and did that. So here I have 3 rings that are glued onto the base, and this is the 4th one, and it's not glued in yet, and I'll be able to rotate it. Now you notice I have the black lined up together. That's Wenge. This is a piece of yellow heart. I've decided to rotate the wingay to the outside corner of the yellow heart, and you can sort of see it right here and on the rest of them. That's going to be the rotation. I need to keep that throughout to make a nice pattern. Right here I have an MDF disc marked with a center line. I also have a brass center in it that I use a set of dividers or compass to help locate that ring. Once located, I use hot glue in 4 spots to hold it in place. The MDF disc is mounted on my wooden faceplate, which I fit on my ball bearing arbor that fits in the tailstock. I can now locate each ring very accurately and glue them in place. So after I take this out of my glue press, I put it back on the lathe, and I take this flat board with sandpaper and I go over this face just to make a nice joint. I've got it in the lathe. I glued this last piece on a couple days ago, and now it's time to turn it. Okay, I'm on the back side now. I have the inside pretty much roughed out with all these steps gone. I want to get rid of these, figure out what we have for a wall, and then I can figure out what sort of a shape I might be able to add to it besides just flat walls. So I'm going to use the 5/8 swept back. I was recently asked what I thought about carbides. Well, I use them. I think there's a place for every tool, and I don't mind using a carbide at all, especially here in this tight little area, and I think it was the best tool I could use. And this is looking good. I'm going to take the negative rake scraper. I'm going to go over this. That'll be ready to sand. And the inside's about in the same place. Okay, it is time to sand, and it should be really easy. I'm going to start with a 2-inch disc, 80 grit, mostly because of the end grain, because it's already pretty smooth. And I'll work my way up to at least 400. When I'm done with that, I'll come back and we'll put the first coat of finish on it. So that's what it's going to be like. I'm going to get my dust collector on, and it won't take too long and we'll have it sanded up. It's time to put the finish on, and I'm going to spray lacquer on. Alright, there's the first coat. We'll let that dry. And I like to get quite a few coats on, so I'll be back when we're all done with that. Alright, I do have all the finish on it, and it was a slow process. I wanted to make sure it was on there good. A lot of wet sanding in between. Right now it's in a set of coal jaws that are attached to a ball bearing arbor that fits in my tailstock, and I have that on there for support because I'm going to part this glue block off, and I just wanted that support on there just in case right before I get to the end that glue joint decides to not hold. I don't want this bowl going into space. So let's go ahead and part it most of the way off. I think we're just about there. There we go. Alright, perfect. Now I can turn this around. It's in the coal jaws. We can finish the bottom off. Okay, we're all flipped around. I just need to clean this up. Lower the center a little bit so it has a nice flat spot to sit on. Might start out here a little farther. Yeah, that's plenty good. Alright, I'll finish it up to 400. I'll get it signed and some finish on it, and then I'll let you see it. Okay, it's all done. Very happy with how it turned out. I like the different woods I used, and I like the shape that I got out of the twist. I think it's pretty interesting. Finished 11 1/4 inches in diameter, 3 3/4 inches tall, and the base is about 4 7/8. The base is made out of walnut. It's a very pretty piece. There's 2 rings with 18 segments in each ring. And the bowl itself, the way I made the rings and cut them up, there's over 700 pieces in this bowl. And I think it gives it a pretty nice look. I sprayed the inside with lacquer, but I did something different on the back side. I used polycrylic. So what I would do is spray a coat of lacquer, and it dries really fast, and I wiped on polycrylic. And I did that throughout the whole process, and I got probably 12 coats on each side. And they both dry really fast, so it didn't take all that long. But I like to let it sit a little extra before I do the final finish on it. Which, the lacquer looked good, the polycrylic looked good, but I like to use an abrasive paste on it. And I used Axe abrasive paste over the top of this and the polishing paste. And it just brought it up to another level. I really, really like my finishes finalized with an abrasive paste and polishing paste. I think you can see it's got a really nice finish on it. Really happy with it. I'll take some pictures. I'm sure it'll show better that way. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. I read them all. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when I have a new one out. It would also be great if you could share my videos around. Thanks to all of you who are subscribed to my channel. It means a lot to me. If you're not subscribed, consider doing so. I do many types of turnings, from segmented work to natural turnings from pieces of trees, and I put out videos weekly. Thanks again. Until the next time, see you later.